Hello, my name is Amanda Rivas, and I held a writing workshop in my school called Writing 2.0, which helped outline for teachers some new and exciting writing digital tools that the students can use for ELA instruction. I got the word out first by using some flyers as well as some emails. This being the end of the year, I wanted to make sure that teachers knew that it wasn't trying to waste their time. And so you'll see on the flyer, not only did I include some specifics about the date and time, but I also put a kind of rundown of what was going to be happening on, like, kind of on the agenda side. This was to make it easier for teachers who say they've already gotten training on these things or they've already dabbled in this field and they feel comfortable, then they wouldn't feel like they're missing out on anything and they, didn't have to attend. And this was also to help pique the interest of teachers who say maybe they've heard about these things but haven't gotten any formal training on them or haven't had, time to set aside and really work with these tools. This kind of just gave them that option, which I felt was very important. Next, I just kind of laid everything out in the agenda. So the day of, every teacher that came to the workshop had a copy of the agenda and they sat in clusters so that they could work together and collaborate during brainstorming activities, which kind of helped to break up the monotony of just sitting down and hearing me speak or lecture and then hearing questions going back and forth. So this is the agenda that was outlined. And then some handouts that were given to them included a ThingLink handout, which kind of just gave very basic instructions of how to create a ThingLink, a Powtoon handout, how to create a Powtoon. And that one I took directly from the website. I felt like I couldn't do it any more justice to kind of simplify and put it in my own words. And then I also created a handout for giving feedback in Office 365. I wanted to take 365 and kind of bring it down to something, one task that teachers can do to help with writing and collaboration in their rooms. And I felt like feedback was something that was important. I also included here a sample rubric for teachers for the ThingLink, just to give them a kind of idea of how they might grade something if they decided to use it for student projects or creations. Next, I went ahead and played my activator, which I created on Powtoon, and this was a way that I felt like I could get them thinking about Powtoon without having to necessarily say, this is how we create a Powtoon. I wanted them to kind of just see it in action and to see how it worked. So here it goes. So that was just to get us going. I wanted to show it in this presentation because I felt like it was important to kind of have that visual of how Powtoon works and how I was able to kind of bring that together and activate all three web tools into one. So we started off with ThingLink as our first play session. And I got it going really through modeling. I pulled up my blog that I use with my students, my social studies blog, and then from there I kind of let them play with some of the links. So I'll show that to you. So here on my blog, I always try to post things, resources that we use in class, but also some things that the students create as a way for them to go back to and refer to before quizzes, tests, or just for their viewing pleasure. This is the ThingLink that the teachers were exploring. So I went through and just kind of clicked on some of the links and I let them see how the links are actually web links. Some go to biographies and web pages. Some of them actually go to Google Earth, some images, some articles. And I played some for them.
Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over.
So I felt it was really important to kind of show the teachers how these tools work together in order to educate the kids, but also as a way to kind of combine all of your resources into one spot and have your students use it as a learning tool to guide their writing. Students can also edit or find a primary source and then write about it. I've spoken about ThingLink before to my colleagues, and it's just remained one of my favorite sources. So I figured let me go ahead and put this in the workshop and let the teachers kind of play around with it. I pulled up my ThingLink and I showed them how to create one of their own. I pulled this one up as an example. I had the teachers give me a caption. What might I say? There I am right there. And this is what they told me to write, I promise. So I linked my blog here, and then I also was able to put in a comment. So students can also do that. Students can, just type in a comment or type in a quick paraphrase about a source and then just show you what they know that way. After ThingLink, I decided to have us kind of play around with the Powtoons. And one thing that came up between our brainstorm of the ThingLink and the Powtoon was how can I use this for projects? How can the younger students use it for projects? How can I use it for, students directly is more than a teaching resource. I would like my kids to be able to sit and do something. So we said, okay, well, how can students use Powtoon? Powtoon is a great alternative to PowerPoint presentations. You can voice over with your own voice, but it does give you that freedom to go ahead and just incorporate some music and let the music do the talking for you. So I went ahead and I showed the teachers Powtoon and I gave them the sign-on for our school. And then they started playing with it. And we're looking at some past projects that our students have done in 5th grade. So on the Powtoon site, I was able to just go ahead and show them the different ways that our students have used them. They've used them for informational writing, but also for stories that they're retelling or paraphrasing. So I stopped that video because it goes on for quite a while, but it also went to show how students can use it for retelling, for narrowing down the most important or the main idea of a particular chapter or story. And a lot of teachers got excited about this one because we had grades from kindergarten to fifth in the room. So I was really excited to see them kind of decide, how they were going to use these and already start making decisions. Next, I went on to commenting and collaborating in Office 365. And I showed them how to access a Word document that you are using with your students and how to go in and give them feedback directly into Office 365 through writing conferences, but then also shared how students can do this with each other so that they can use like peer review, narrative checks, some collaboration if they're deciding to collaborate on a particular story or project. So in Office 365, you can directly go in and you can either right click on your mouse or and then go down to new comment, or you can go into insert and then add a comment as well. I like to go through as I'm going through when I'm scrolling down the page to go ahead and right click because it'll give it more specific, and then I can go ahead and just type in my comment. Make sure capital letters used here. Oops, sorry, I kind of cut off my comment for you to see. And then once I click off of it, it stays there for the student. Now the student can review all of my comments, or in that moment they can say no markup and all they see is this. If they're ready to go ahead and see my comments, they can go ahead and put that in, and all the comments that I've made throughout the paper will show up. And then they simply have to go in and change it or see my remark, and then they can also reply to what I've written there. Maybe I don't understand something and then they have a question about what I just wrote, they can reply right there. Something that's also good about this is that you can track changes. So maybe somebody is, working really hard on their paper and little by little they are making progress. If you are taking data on them and you are looking for specific goals that they're meeting, this is an easy way for you to keep track of the improvement that they're making over time on any specific work that they're doing. So I wanted to outline that in my workshop as well. And at the end of the workshop, I sent out forms, which is also on Office 365. It's very similar to Google Forms. I sent out forms with some questions for all the teachers who were in attendance, and they filled them out, and it was mostly selected response, but also there was some space for them to give feedback and kind of type out some comments about the workshop and the tools that I presented. And then it was kind of, once I went into responses, I was able to see everything very clearly in data charts. Okay, well, that concludes my session of writing with 2.0 tools. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm going to include the lesson plan link along with my submission. Take care.